Welcome, welcome, welcome to Ask Melly, and we have our first question from a viewer. So today's topic is, what do I do when I am reaching out to a guy that I felt I had a connection with and I'm not getting anything back? So this question's come in from one of our viewers, Melly's Angel followers, Sarah. And so that's Sarah's question. Basically, the situation is there's a guy, they've been on a couple of dates, done the dirty, and the communication at first seemed to be pretty good, pretty flowing, but after the second or third date, it seems as though Sarah's the one that's putting in a lot of the effort. So that's the question today for Ask Melly. What to do when a guy stops putting in the effort in the dating stages? Well, my advice would be don't put in any more effort than he is at this point in time. In fact, this would be the time to slowly start to dwindle and bring back the energy that you're putting into the connection. Because what's happening here is it's all energy, and that's why we have this channel, right? Because we can look at it psychologically, but I look at it spiritually and from my own life experiences, etc. And spiritually is always energetically, and energetically what's happening here is you're putting more into the situation than what he is. Now, the nature of men, of course, is to chase. Men want what's difficult, they want what's hard to get, they want the unattainable. We can talk more on this in other videos, but we know this to be true. So in this situation, if it's the early stages of dating and you're putting in a little bit more effort, if you've noticed he started to scale back his effort and you're starting to put in a little bit more, I would really work on fine-tuning the scales of the energy input. So it's a game of match. It's a game of tennis. If he's going to hit the ball back into your court, great, you can hit it back. But if he's missing the balls that you're sending and he's not hitting them back and returning and serving in a prompt and comforting and reassuring manner, well, then I would stop hitting the balls into his court as regularly. I would definitely pull back. Now, this gives you a really golden opportunity to observe. As women, we tend to not observe. We tend to panic. We're wired differently to men, which again we'll talk about in videos upcoming. There's a lot of content on its way. We are wired differently than men, and so we tend to be very open, very vulnerable, very genuine. And I'm not saying men aren't genuine, but they're just more measured in the way that they interact, especially in the early stages of dating, especially these days with all the options. Again, more videos to come. So when a man stops putting in the effort, it can be really, really hard because it can trigger us. Those of us with abandonment wounds, for example, are going to be triggered. And our natural reaction is going to be, first of all, we're going to want to clarify. We're going to want to know why has this happened? And we may have our abandonment wounds triggered at this point where if we've invested, if we've started to maybe, romanticize or fantasize a little bit future, plan a little bit with this person, and then it all kind of seems to come to a grinding halt. A lot of our traumas are going to be triggered at this point in time. So this is why I say it's best to pull back, because it's about you. This is all about you. It's not about them. If you pull back, what you're doing is you're actually protecting your energy and yourself from investing further into a situation which may or may not end up hurting you. Now, when you're dating, we have to be aware that we may be hurt, and dating with awareness of our triggers, which is another video I'm going to do, is really, really important. We need to date with understanding as well as intention. There's all this talk about dating with intention, but it's also dating with awareness. And I'm talking about self-awareness. What do I need in a partner? What's going to trigger me? So, Sarah, this person who has come on, in the beginning fairly interested with a good energy that's met yours, that would be a safe and good connection in which you would want to, reciprocate and give your energy. What happens is this is either going to grow, it's going to go into a direction that you want it to go, or it may come to a standstill, it may not be the right time, or it just might not be the right connection. In order for those three opportunities to play out, you'll need to go into observation mode. So you'll need to observe now. And the way to observe is to pull back your energy and see what's this person bringing to the table. Is he going to chase me? Is he going to make some effort? Is he going to try? Is he going to give me some kind of explanation? We don't want too many explanations either, especially in the early stages of dating. We don't want too many excuses. But if these are, respectful, timely explanations, I'm sorry, I've been busy the last couple of days, but hey, how you're going, and at least that consistency, then you can work with that. But you really want to, at this point, step back and observe, allow him to initiate. Now, the next question is, what if he doesn't initiate? What if I don't send any messages and he doesn't initiate any? Well, my advice there is to wait. I would give it 2 weeks. If there's no contact from him after 2 weeks, I think it's fairly safe to say that for whatever reason this person has pulled back his energy, and it may or may not be rejection, but you want to take it as not necessarily rejection but clear indications that it's not moving forward. If it's not moving forward, then it's not serving you. You don't want to continue to invest and give to a situation that's not serving you, so you really want to go into that observation mode and practice that patience and that self-control. See if he's going to reach out. Now, if after 2 weeks you don't get an answer, if after 2 weeks you don't get the response that you're after, this is where it's really up to you in terms of how you proceed. Some of you who are comfortable with the idea of walking away would be able to maybe just walk away at this point, and accept it for what it is. Think, okay, well, I'm not going to feed any more energy. I'm just going to close that door and put my energy elsewhere. That would probably be a good decision. Another decision, which is also a good decision, it just what's the best decision for you. You could address the matter if you're the kind of person that needs closure. I think at this point acceptance is really important. If this person hasn't reached out after 2 weeks, you have your answer, unless there's some really, 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 convincing reason as to why they haven't reached out. But again, we don't want to start a relationship on excuses and explanations. So if it's just the once, sure, but if it's a pattern of this, then no. So 2 weeks, being willing to accept the outcome, whether they are going to reach out or not. And at the end of the 2 weeks, if they haven't, you could either walk away or you could send a message and just say, hey, I noticed you haven't contacted over the last couple of weeks. I really enjoyed the time that we spent together, but I'm looking for something with more consistency, and I would like to thank you and move on. I'm going to close the door. So if you're that kind of person that needs the closure, you could send a message like that. Only if you're doing it with the right intention, and the right intention really then is to close the door and to tell them, hey, look, that's not good enough, I'm walking away. Now, at that point, they may scramble. They may send a series of texts and excuses, but really that's only after your prompting. And again, in another video, we can talk, well, what happens then if they start to try and win you back after disconnecting? I would then really shift the energy again in terms of, okay, well, show me what you're going to bring. I would definitely keep my options open with other people and just watch and wait and see if this person's going to bring anything to the table. But so, Sarah, 2 weeks. I would sort of pull back for a little. I would put my energy back into myself, all of that stuff, self-love, all of those things. And if you haven't heard from him in 2 weeks, I think you've got your answer. And from there, you could move on. You could seek clarification. And at that point, you can only observe. So that's my answer today. What to do when a guy starts to pull back in those initial few weeks of dating. What do you do? That's exactly what I would do. So Sarah, I hope that's helped. Anyone watching that has a similar circumstance, I hope that's helped, and I look forward to putting up a lot more of these videos with a lot more information around life, spirituality, love, dating, everything. So lots of love from Melly's Angels, and I will be back on soon.